Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to week 4 of our English 101 class. This week we get to write the essay, which is so exciting. I know you all are super, super pumped. So let's take a look at how we're going to do that. Last week we spent some time contextualizing the essay, kind of figuring out um, what the mode is in the compare and contrast style. We did some free writing. We finished up the book. Hopefully you guys love the ending. Um, what a surprise, right? It was everyone. They're all murderers. Yay. So a fun twist. But what I think is most interesting about the novel is the way in which Poirot struggles with what to do next. So, like, once he figures out what happened to Ratchet, that he was this very bad man who had murdered children. And so the family and friends and people connected to one of those murdered children decide to get together and, in an amazingly planned out, long haul sort of plan, like multiple years of planning, uh, these 12 individuals decide to murder Ratchet. And so as Poirot wrestled with, like, is this justice? Because he sort of had it coming, like he killed several kids. Like, that's not okay. Um, and he bribed the justice system and got away scot-free and escaped to Europe. Like, that's not justice. So these 12 people felt like they needed to fix it. However, going out and murdering someone is normally not considered the right thing to do, right? So it seems a little bit more like revenge. So how do you make sense of it? How did Poirot make sense of it? That's the big question we're left with at the end of the novel. Were these characters acting out of a sense of justice or out of a sense of revenge? And their choices, what does that say about us as people? Like, what kind of conclusions can we draw about us as a species based on how these characters are making their decisions? Agatha Christie leaves us with a lot of really interesting questions, and she leaves us in a lot of gray area where it's kind of up to the reader to decide how we want to interpret the character's actions and how we want to understand Poirot's choices at the end. So lots of really cool stuff coming there. Hopefully, you watched the video in the modules tab last week where I introduced the essay. I go over the rubric and the outline. Super duper helpful stuff. So pretty please, if you didn't watch it because it will save your bum on this essay. I kid you not. So please watch it. Today, we are working on the thesis statement for the Murder on the Orient Express essay, and I do have a thesis statement video to help walk you through that whole worksheet as well that I'll show you in a minute. The thesis statement is like the most important part of the essay, not to put any pressure on you, uh, but I have rarely seen a good essay that had a bad thesis, right? It's very difficult to write a good essay if you don't have a good foundation to build upon. And so the thesis, why we're taking time to do a whole worksheet on it, is because it is so important to constructing the rest of our essay. We want to make sure it's clear, it's concise, and that it creates an arguable statement. So make sure that we're going to be watching that video in the modules tab. I'll show you in a minute. And you're going to be filling out that worksheet today. I'm going to be giving you some feedback on that worksheet this week so you get some help specifically with your thesis statement. So you're welcome. And then we're going to be writing the essay this week. As I said last week, sometimes writing 3 full pages can feel really daunting. Like it feels like a really big job. So think about how you might plan out your time to break it down into smaller pieces. So you're working on the thesis worksheet today. Maybe write your introductory paragraph in your thesis today, and then write your summary paragraph and maybe your first body paragraph or two on Tuesday, and then a couple more paragraphs on Wednesday, and then a couple more on Thursday. And by the time you need to submit your first draft for your peer review, you will have that whole document put together. So break it down into smaller pieces if those 3 pages feel daunting, because you do need 3 full pages all the way to the bottom of the 3rd page. And the works cited doesn't count. So make sure it is 3 full pages. Uh, if that feels like a lot, break it down. Just do a couple paragraphs a day. Give yourself time to really get into the ideas and develop the way you want to make your argument. The only thing we're doing this week besides writing the essay is there is an assignment that's going to give you some help on documenting sources in MLA format. Because the essay, all of our essays in this class have to be in MLA style, and MLA style is kind of a pain. Um, I know as an English teacher, probably not supposed to say that, but like all standardized formats are a pain, whether it's MLA or APA or Chicago or whatever style it is. They all are a bit of a pain. So you just have to learn how to navigate around it and where to find your resources to help you out. So this website here's got a lot of really good APA or MLA format information. So check that out. We are going to be practicing proper citation because in your essay, you're going to have to use two sources. One of the sources is the book, and the other source is up to you. But I would highly, highly, highly recommend an article called Don't Confuse Revenge with Justice by Dr. Leon Seltzer. Here's the article right here. This will lend itself very well to your essay. So if you want some help finding a source, this one might be a really good one to go with. So you are going to be reading this article for this MLA format assignment, and you're going to practice how to use MLA format to document and to avoid plagiarism. Because we know one of the big things in writing is we want to make sure we're not stealing anyone's ideas. We always want to make sure that we're giving people credit who originally said the thing, right? So that's very important. So this worksheet is going to break down citing your sources in three different ways. So the first one is going to be looking at um, mostly direct quotations and making sure that they are properly cited and that they are correctly explaining the idea from the original source. So you'll have three instances of practice here. So you'll look through, you'll see the original excerpt I've pulled from the article. And then the student work sample is where a student interpreted it. And then you are going to tell me what error took place, and you're going to write a corrected sentence to fix it. And you're going to do that for three excerpts. Then you're going to practice with direct quotations a bit. Show me how you use a direct quote, including a signal phrase, which is something along the lines of Agatha Christie in the novel Murder on the Orient Express said blah 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 blah. But you want to make sure you're putting your quotes in quotation marks, that you've got your parenthetical citation at the end, which is normally the author's last name and the page number, and that in your stem, if you're referencing the novel, book titles are always italicized in MLA format. Article titles are put in quotation marks, book titles are italicized. So fun, right? So you're going to practice with direct quotations, then you'll practice with paraphrase, and then you'll practice with summary. So paraphrase is a little different than summary, but it's easy to get the two mixed up. So paraphrase is when you're taking someone's ideas, you're putting those ideas into your own words, but that is about the same length as the original. So if you are paraphrasing two sentences from the original text, your paraphrase should be about two sentences as well. The length will be the same. The only thing you're doing is taking their ideas, putting them into your own words. You're still going to include a citation when you do this because the ideas are not originally yours. They belonged to the author. You're just restating them, so you do need to cite them. Summary is taking something big and making it much smaller. So if the original text is 4 sentences long, your summary might be 1 sentence long, where you're taking the ideas from the original, you're boiling them down into their most essential pieces, and you're telling those most essential bits to your reader in a much shorter form. If it helps, think about the difference between a movie and like a movie trailer. The movie's like an hour and a half long, the trailer's like 3 minutes long, but you can still kind of get the gist of the movie from the trailer. So that's kind of what summary does. It takes something big, it makes it much smaller, but still communicates the key ideas. And that's what you're going to be doing for practice on Wednesday to get familiar with that MLA format. And as promised, in the modules tab, I will show you where the thesis statement video is because that's very important. So if you scroll down in our Project 1 folder and you get to the essay subheading section, scroll on down to the thesis worksheet walkthrough lecture. This is a pretty short video. I think it's like 10 minutes long. And it will show you exactly what I'm looking for on the thesis worksheet, and it will give you some sample thesis statements so you can kind of see how this all might come together. So please check that out. And as a friendly reminder, if you didn't watch this video last week, watch it today. It will seriously save your butt on this essay. I kid you not. It will help you so much. So watch that. Um, and that's what we're doing today. That's where we're headed. If you need any MLA format resources, we do have an MLA format file down here at the bottom, MLA format and grammar. So here's grammar. If you feel like you're struggling with some common errors, here's some helpful things. But here is all the good MLA stuff that you'll need for your essay. So if you want some additional resources, here's some help for that. All right, guys, as always, reach out with any questions. I'm here to help, and happy writing.